Hi, welcome to Teach With Me. I'm Miss Jen. Today we are going to be doing the next letter in our A to Z directed draw and guided writing series. We are on the letter U and we are doing an easy one today. It is an umbrella and we're going to be doing the writing that goes along with it. You will need a lined paper, and I always neglect to tell you that you need lined paper for the writing portion of it because we're doing this with kindergarten. And even if you did it with first grade, the lined paper is very helpful because it gives the guidelines for the kids. You also need a felt tip pen, crayons, and printer paper for the drawing. Let's begin. All right, so you're going to have the kids turn their papers horizontal like we have on all of them because we're making them a book and we want them all to be oriented the same way. So you're going to tell the kids find the center of your paper and then go up towards the top. You should be close to the top but not all the way to the top. And you're going to make a small circle. From either side of this circle, you're going to make a curved line coming down. And so I'm going to do this with the boys and girls, of course, and I'm going to say on this side of the circle, we're going to make a curved line that stops about halfway into the middle of your paper. And when the other one should stop about the same distance on the other side. Hold on. I apologize for that. My Roomba decided to turn itself on. Okay, so we're going to come up to the top and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And they should be fairly even. This one looks fairly even, I think. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to connect the two sides with sort of a scalloped ending like this. We're going to go up and down. So I think I'd call it sort of a rainbow curve. I'd say, boys and girls, we're going to make a little rainbow curve. Or another word for that is an arch across the entire bottom of the umbrella. And we're going to connect the two sides. Once they have this, all you're going to do is make the ribs that go in these divots. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it'll have four ribs. So we'll go like this. We're going to start in the divot and we're going to make a curved line that mirrors the curved line it's closest to. This one goes to that side and then these two will go on this side. I'm going to turn my paper this direction. And same with this one. Ooh, made that a little crooked. Okay, so this is an odd number here, so what we're going to do is in the center, we're going to make our handle. So I'm going to tell them we're going to make a letter J, a long letter J. Once they have that letter J, they're just going to mirror it and go all the way back around. Back up to the top. And if you want, you can make a little line here and make the bottom of this handle different than this part of the handle. Now, the entire rest of this is going to simply be raindrops that we're going to put all around here. So I'm going to tell them we're going to make a bunch of ovals, but the only place we're not going to put raindrops, can you guess where that would be? And hopefully they say underneath the umbrella, because that is the correct answer. So then when we color this, I usually tell them you can color your umbrella whatever color you'd like, but I want you to use at least 2 different colors. You can have them make a pattern if you want to include patterns in this, or you can have them not do a pattern, and you know, some kids like to do a rainbow umbrella and so forth. I'm going to show you my sample. This is, I was mixing colors on the handle, so don't do that. That doesn't look good. But you can see that this part is blue, this part I was going for purple because I had changed my mind on it, so pretend it's pretty. And then I used my blue shading crayon to do all around here. I used a different blue for my raindrops so that they stood out more. And then I used 3 colors for my umbrella pattern. And that is it for the art piece. Now we're going to go on to the guided writing. All right, so now it's time for the writing portion, and Just if you haven't been following along, I'm going to just kind of tell you what this is all about. On the bottom of our artwork, we are attaching a writing component. And this is just, the writing goes with the artwork. But how do they get these sentences? So this is not a phonics lesson. What this is, this weekly writing is meant to give them practice with spacing, capitalization, punctuation, sentence structure, sight word usage, and print awareness. So they're left to right, and understanding that each word is a grouping of letters. And so this stuff isn't learned by osmosis, and it's not learned by just doing it one time. And so what we do is, what I did is I have this written out on the board because they do this in small group. The first sentence is always the same. So my entire frame is the same for this activity for the entire year. So whatever our letter of the week is, that's going to be our first letter. And then whatever we draw with that letter of the week, that's going to be the word. So our first sentence is always whatever the letter is and the picture. So U is for umbrella. And then a fact about umbrellas. So I differentiate the sentences by color on the board so that it's easier for the boys and girls to see where they are at. So once they write U is for umbrella, then I'm going to say, great job. Now you are on the blue sentence. Umbrellas are used to keep people dry. Now let's say that the boys and girls, I'm going to do this first one. I'm going to do this really quickly. Oops, I did that terribly. But I'm doing this in marker right now just because it's easier to see, but you would obviously do this in pencil so that you could correct any mistakes. You do have to correct the mistakes as they come up, because if you don't, they're going to learn it incorrectly. All right, so let's say that they finished this one. And on here, I did not have enough room to write umbrellas. But I'm going to ask them, I'm going to say, all right, you did the black sentence. Excellent job. You're on the blue sentence. Now, where are you going to start the blue sentence? And hopefully they say here. Hopefully they can recognize that they have enough room to copy this word here. If they say here, then what I'm going to say is I'm going to say, well, we did not up here on this line because that's a long word and not a lot of space. But look how much space you have here. And I'm going to kind of talk them through why I think they have enough space here. If you've been watching the videos at all, you'll notice that from the time we started on the letter A, because I did these in order, to where we're at now, there's a progression in skills that we teach each week. So this understanding that if you're on a topic, that you can put the sentences together was not something that we did at the very beginning. So just like everything else, you sort of have to scaffold how you teach things. So because my focus with this is not on phonics and sounding things out, this focus is on the writing process itself, the mechanics of it. I am going to scaffold those skills within that context. All right, so let's see. Umbrellas are used to keep people dry. All right, and so once they're finished, I'm going to say, great, great job. You have finished your blue sentence. All right, so now let's say they took a really long time with this one and they weren't able to get to that red one. Well, that's okay. Then this is what they have for their writing. But let's say that this becomes really easy, because it will, as they keep doing this throughout the year. This will become really easy. And that's what you want. You want this to be easy by the end of the year. They're using, seeing these sight words. They are using this punctuation properly. They are using capitalization properly. They are understanding that you start left to right. All of those are such important skills, and they learn this by repetition. All right, but let's say they still can't copy off the board. So then what you can do is you can write it on a piece of scratch paper for them, and then let's pretend that this, they're copying it on here, right? Or yeah, let's say they're copying it on here. Well, you write it on a piece of paper for them instead of them looking up at the board, and then each time they just cross off the word as they write it. That way they can keep, it'll help them keep from losing their place on the paper. It'll act as this, but easier because it's right in front of them. All right, and then lastly, did you know umbrellas were invented in China? And once they have that done, I'm going to say, excellent job. Let's read what you've written, and then I'm going to have them, I'm sorry, I keep going back and forth. I'm going to have them touch each word as we read it. Did you know umbrellas were invented in China? Good job. How many sentences did you write? And they might say 4 because sometimes boys and girls get confused with the number of lines with what a sentence is. Hopefully by this point they haven't, because I do teach them to look at how many punctuation marks they have also, and how many uppercase letters they have at the beginning of sentences, and sometimes that helps them as well. Okay. All right, well, I hope that was helpful. If you found it useful, please like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you next time.